To truly understand Thor, you have to strip away the modern superhero tropes, the CGI, and the polished Hollywood glitter. We aren't looking at a movie screen today. We're going back, way back to the Viking Age. This was a brutal era, an era defined by grit, iron, and cold, hard blood. In the original Norse sagas, Thor wasn't some pretty boy in shimmering spandex or clean armor. He was a hulking, red-bearded mountain of a man with muscles forged from centuries of cosmic warfare. His eyes, they didn't just look at you, they crackled with the raw blue electricity of a brewing storm. When he stared you down, you didn't see a hero in a cape. You saw the terrifying primal power of a Category 5 hurricane. Close your eyes and imagine standing on a jagged Scandinavian shore 1,000 years ago. The sky turns a bruised shade of purple. The wind begins to howl like a wounded beast, and the very ground beneath your leather boots starts to tremble. To a Viking, that wasn't just a low-pressure system. That was him. That was Thor, crossing the bifrost, entering the atmosphere. He was the son of Odin, the All-Father, and Fjorgyn, the literal personification of the earth itself. Think about that lineage. He had the wisdom of the heavens and the unbreakable density of the soil. This made him the ultimate bridge. He wasn't a distant celestial being sitting on a golden throne in a quiet palace. He was grounded. He was visceral. He was real. The god of the common man. While Odin was the god of kings, poets, and the elite, a mysterious figure lurking in the shadows, seeking forbidden knowledge, Thor was the god of the everyday person. He was the blue-collar deity, the god of the working class. If you were a farmer 1,000 years ago and your crops were drying up under a merciless sun, you didn't pray to Odin. He was too busy with his ravens. No, you fell to your knees and prayed to Thor for the rain. If you were a traveler lost in the woods and giants were smashing at the gates of your village, you didn't look for a diplomat or a politician. You screamed for Thor's hammer. He was the world's ultimate insurance policy. But what made him so beloved in the USA and across the world today? It's because he was relatable. He wasn't perfect. He had a legendary temper that could shake the stars. He loved to eat massive feasts, he loved to drink, and he was fiercely, violently loyal to humanity. He was the designated protector of Midgard, our world. In a universe filled with frost giants that could freeze your heart, fire demons that could melt cities, and dark elves lurking in the cracks of reality, Thor was the only thing keeping the lights on. He was the shield. He was the wall. He was the reason humanity survived the dark.
Now let's talk about his gear, the most legendary weaponry in human history. It starts and ends with Mjolnir. This wasn't just a tool for hitting things, it was a cosmic weapon of mass destruction. Ancient legends say it was forged by the master dwarves Brokkr and Sindri. They didn't just use a normal furnace, they used the dying heat of a collapsing star. It was said that this hammer could level an entire mountain range in a single bone-crushing swing. But here's the American-style twist you might not know. Mjolnir was actually flawed. During the forging process, Loki, the god of mischief, transformed into a gadfly. He bit the blacksmith's eyelid so hard that he had to stop pumping the bellows for just one crucial second. Because of that, the handle ended up being too short for a standard two-handed grip. But did Thor complain? No, he didn't care. He turned that flaw into his signature combat style. He wielded that massive, unbalanced weight with one hand, making his fighting style uniquely aggressive, lightning fast, and utterly unpredictable. When Thor swung Mjolnir, it didn't just break bones, it shattered the very fabric of reality. It was a boomerang of death. No matter how far he threw it, it always found its way back to his palm. It was the ultimate weapon of the ancient world. But even a god needs a boost when the giants start growing too tall. Thor didn't just rely on his natural genetic muscles. He wore mjolnir, the belt of strength. This wasn't just a piece of fashion. When he buckled this ancient leather strap around his waist, his already godlike power doubled instantly. Think about the physics of that. The strongest being in the 9 realms suddenly becoming twice as powerful. That is the heavy hitter we are dealing with. To handle the searing white-hot energy of Mjolnir, he had to wear jarngrip, massive iron gauntlets. Without them, the hammer's kickback and thermal energy would tear a lesser god's arm clean off. He was a walking tank, geared up for a war that never ended. And forget the flying capes. Thor traveled the cosmos in a heavy, clanking iron chariot pulled by 2 immortal, battle-hardened goats, Tangrisnir and Tanjoster. Their names literally mean teeth grinder and gap-toother. The god of thunder screaming across the clouds in a chariot of iron, the sound of his massive wheels grinding against the atmosphere, creating the literal boom of thunder. These goats were a source of infinite energy. If Thor was hungry, he could slaughter them for dinner, feast on their meat, and the next morning use Mjolnir to bless their bones and resurrect them back to life. That is the definition of unstoppable. This was the ultimate symbol of survival. Thor didn't just represent power, he represented the will to keep fighting, no matter how dark the storm got. He was the storm. He was the shield. He was the savior.